Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We just got some heartbreaking news. Klay Thompson's out for the year with a torn Achilles. This is really sad. I love watching Klay Thompson play basketball. He's so entertaining and so exciting to watch, and I guess I probably suspected that this was going to be the outcome of this whole injury, but yeah, after hearing it hits hard. And I feel so bad for Klay. Just sat out a whole season, worked so hard to get his body back in shape to come back and be ready for this December startup. He just goes through another incredibly traumatic injury that is going to set him back so far. But from everything we know, Klay Thompson's a hard worker. He's going to keep fighting. He's going to bounce back, and he's going to come back as good as he ever was, at least in terms of skill. Who knows about his body? Who knows how well he'll be able to move, if the defense will still be the same, but he'll still be the same sharp shooter. He'll still be Klay Thompson. But yeah, this is really sad. This is a tragedy for the NBA. And a title contender just lost their shot, which is always a bummer. I guess for the Warriors, if this absolutely had to happen and you had to pick a day for it to happen, draft day might be the day for it, because while it is really, really disappointing that you are losing this guy for the year, it's also a little encouraging. Draft day is always the most hopeful day of the season for every NBA team. I always say that. And I think that can be true for the Warriors too. You get an influx of young talent. You bring in James Wiseman. You bring in the guard from Arizona. Can't think of his name right now for some reason. Not Theo Maladon. Jeez, why can't I think of his name? This is going to bug me. Nico Mannion. I had to look it up. You get an interesting draft and stash guy who can really shoot it in Justinian Jessup. Hope I said his name right. But it just has to come back to Klay. And, prayers up for Klay Thompson, everyone. This is really sad. It was sad enough when he tore his ACL, but to stack this on top of the ACL injury, really, really a bummer. But like I said, we know Klay Thompson. We know he's a hard worker, and we have to hope that he can come back as good as ever. So, I guess I'll talk about basketball a little bit, even though it doesn't seem super appropriate, but the Warriors are now missing an all-star in their starting lineup, and they're going to have to find a way to fill in that spot, that hole. Right now, the guards on their roster outside of Steph Curry are Jordan Poole, Kai Bowman, Damian Lee, and Juan Toscano Anderson. Hope I said his name right. Not too hopeful there. Those are all young guys. I don't know too much about any of them because the Warriors sucked this past year, and I never watched a single game that they played. But they're all young. Maybe one of them worked really hard over this time off, and he can have a similar Gary Trent, Tyler Hero, Michael Porter Jr. type breakout and become a respectable starting two guard at the NBA level. But I don't know if it's going to happen. The Warriors are now under as much pressure as ever to utilize that $17 million trade exception and bring in a player who can help them win this season, as you still have Steph Curry and Draymond Green in their prime. You have a super exciting young center in James Wiseman. You have Andrew Wiggins. So if you can use that and get a respectable rotation player, that's a win for you. A guy I thought of would be Trevor Ariza. Obviously, he's been on the move a lot recently, but he makes sense as a wing who can play solid defense. Isn't exactly a two guard, but I'm sure him and Wiggins would be fine playing on the wing together. It's just such a huge gap to fill. I don't know even who else they could get with that trade exception. I was thinking Marcus Smart, but what are you going to give up to get the Celtics to give up someone as valuable as Marcus? What about, I don't even know. I can't think of anybody. I mean, they need help on the wings. They need help from, they need another guard. But there's not all that many guards that are really on the trade block. Like, can you turn Kevon Looney, Eric Paschall, your first round pick for next year, the trade exception, can you make that into Buddy Hield? I don't know. I don't even know if that works with money wise. This team's in a tough spot right now, and I'm just so sad and so disappointed about this Klay Thompson injury. But to talk about the draft a bit, I think that the Wiseman pick wasn't my favorite for the Warriors. I think that LaMelo Ball has a chance to be a superstar, and for that reason, oh, sorry about this, really shaky. I would have taken LaMelo with the second pick. I would have taken him first overall if I were the Timberwolves. I would have taken him within every spot in this draft. I think that he was head and shoulders above everyone else as the best player. But it makes sense why they would want to take Wiseman. He's probably more ready to help them win now, although I really don't think that's what they're focused on. They want to become the next Spurs. They want to have a dynastical run that can continue throughout generations. And James Wiseman might be a guy who can help them with that. If he can become Chris Bosh, but like more explosive, that's a really good player. And that's comparison. A lot of the guys, you had Schmitz, you had Billis, you had Williams. The name that came up with them a lot was Chris Bosh. So if that's what you actually got with this kid with the second pick, that's pretty special. And he might be able to be that superstar that can carry you over into another generation of competing. You also have that Timberwolves pick for next year. That's probably going to be like a pick between 5 and 10. Could be very valuable. I'm just trying to put a positive spin on this, but it's really difficult. It's really difficult. It's going to be fun to see like a Steph Curry, James Wiseman pick and roll. Maybe a James Wiseman, Draymond Green pick and roll. Two big guys. But I just keep going back to Klay. And that's really what this is about. It's recognizing that Klay Thompson is a terrific NBA player. He's super talented. He's one of the greatest shooters of all time. It's sad for all of us that we don't get to watch him play, and we have to miss 2 years of prime Klay Thompson. But most of all, it's sad for him and his family that he keeps having to go through these traumatic experiences. So, yeah, prayers up for Klay. I don't have much else to say about the Warriors. Congrats on getting Wiseman. Nice pick with Nico Mannion. Maybe Jessup can be something in a couple of years, but he's a draft and stash, so won't be on the roster this year. Try to get something for that trade exception if you can, and it's a good deal where you're not giving up too many assets. But yeah, sad. It's very sad.